Hey everybody, this is True Disciple here, and today, for all you Terran fans, I just want to let you know that I have been sent a replay pack for one of my favorite players, well, one of my favorite Terran players, I'll say, DeLoAdEr, and I have a replay pack from, well, not from him, but from one of his friends that sent it to me that is basically the best of his games from a recent clan match from NK Clan. And this is basically, I was sent a TVT, a TVZ, and a TVP, and I'm going to cast them back to back and post them back to back for you guys. So I hope you enjoy them. I'm going to start right now with the TVT, and so here we have DeLoAdEr going up against ColmA. Now I didn't look into these players. Well, I know DeLoAdEr, obviously. I didn't look into the clan match. This was basically a clan match that I missed out on that I was going to try to live cast, but I wasn't available for. So unfortunately I couldn't. So basically I was just sent what I was told was the best replays. I don't know the outcome at all. I was very good and told them all not to tell me what happened, so I have no idea what the outcome is of any of these matches. And as they were not even sent to me by DeLoAdEr himself, as we know that players usually tend to like to send games that they win, I definitely don't even have an inkling of a clue of who exactly is the winner here of any of these games, and I don't know what to expect at all. But hopefully this will be a pretty epic TVT here, and here we are on Shakuras Plateau. Let's bring up that production tab and those nameplates. And I really got to say, I will shout out to Blizzard for having added this toggle the replay timeline thing. This will allow me to get my casts up so much faster because I don't have to add an overlay anymore to this area. I mean, I can at some point later on if I like having, you know, maybe an overlay with my name. If somebody wants to make something fancy with True Disciple on there, then that'd be excellent, and maybe I put that up. But basically, it allows me to post my games so much faster because normally I have to compress them once with the overlay and then put them to the upload file, which recompresses them again in order to put them on YouTube. So basically it doubles the compression time and is really kind of a pain in the butt, although to be fair, the longest time is of course the upload, which takes like 4 hours to upload in 1080p, but well worth it to get that extra quality that I know a lot of you viewers enjoy. Meanwhile, we see DeLoAdEr has moved into ColmA's base to kind of check out what's going on. He's looking around for anything fancy, seeing if there's any early expansions or anything like that, but nothing of the sort coming from either player. Looking in the base, we see just one gas down for ColmA, so we're not going to be looking for any kind of early tech from ColmA at this point, although I guess he could still throw down a semi-early gas. But here we go, look at this very early gas from DeLoAdEr. Very early second gas from DeLoAdEr, so DeLoAdEr probably going to be going some kind of tech build. We may be seeing some kind of Banshee play, maybe going straight into siege tanks right away. We'll have to see what happens from his end. Meanwhile, pushing out with these two Marines, he definitely, when you're going for this kind of build, you definitely want to deny the scouting from your opponent. And I would like to see exactly what. Let's see what we got. 1 and 2, right? So 1 for ColmA. ColmA has not seen anything in the base. He has been denied all scouting from DeLoAdEr, and that is huge. He has no idea at all what DeLoAdEr is doing right now, and he's got to be scratching his head, and he might even want to waste one of his scans at some point just to get an idea of what's going on. And if we look from the other perspective, we do see that that DeLoAdEr has a pretty good idea. He saw just the one gas with the barracks already up, so he kind of has an idea of what's going on. Let's go back to the everybody view, and meanwhile we see that ColmA is just kind of scouting around. Very smart. Players are starting to do this more and more, and this is just so smart to be scouting all over, checking everything out, making sure there's nothing cheesy going on, making sure there are no proxies or anything like that. And we see that DeLoAdEr on his end is holding down both of the Zelmaga watchtowers with his two Marines. And meanwhile, we check the units tab real quick. We see that we have 6 Marines out for our ColmA and 6 Marines out, so basically tied up. The SCV count is pretty much the same, up with DeLoAdEr pulling up one more just about now, as it seems that ColmA cut his SCV production a little bit to maybe pump out that refinery a little bit earlier. Meanwhile, ColmA just guarding his base. As he has not scouted, he doesn't know what to expect at all from DeLoAdEr, and so he's got to be thinking, man, are we going to be seeing some Banshees? So he's holding these back. He is saving enough energy for a scan, which is very smart of him, as he doesn't know what to happen. And there goes the scan from DeLoAdEr scanning the base. He wants to know exactly what's going on in ColmA's base, and I'm wondering if ColmA has already done the same or not, and it looks like he may have actually already done the same. Let's check real quick and look at the... no, he has not scanned, so he's just been using that on mules, so I guess he feels comfortable right now, and he is not concerned about what DeLoAdEr is doing right now. But, I mean, in ColmA's position, I would be very, very nervous right now, not knowing what's going on. He's comfortably throwing down that expansion. I mean, this is not an early expansion, a 7-minute expansion, so, I mean, around, if it's between, like, if it's around 6 minutes, it's kind of early. 7 is still semi-fast. So, but definitely good timing, and we might see similar from DeLoAdEr. No, we don't. No expansion from DeLoAdEr at the moment. There it goes, throwing it down just now at 7 minutes and 25 seconds. And he is swapping up that starport to go down the reactor, and maybe we will be actually seeing some Banshee play. Or maybe something else fancy. No, he's going for a Raven, and that actually really excites me, because I see Ravens... you rarely see Ravens anymore, and I miss them so much. I love seeing Raven play, and look at this, ColmA with a Raven as well. So I don't know if it's just to get the... For ColmA, I think he probably pulled that out just to have the detection, and here he is, look at it, putting it up at his mineral line to get that detection, he is probably expecting Banshees. Meanwhile, we see the Raven is almost out for DeLoAdEr right now, and the troops are moving up to this forward Xel'Naga watchtower to keep an eye out, and he is going to spot this Marine coming down to scout out what's going on. And so I'm not sure if ColmA just has his Marine here to kind of bait to see if there are any units here at this Xel'Naga watchtower or not, and maybe he'll be moving down eventually. So, but right now he is within range of that Xel'Naga watchtower, and so basically DeLoAdEr's troops are kind of staring at him across this huge gap, just kind of like, what is that Soul Marine doing there? So in the meantime, we see that, oh, look at this, DeLoAdEr is like, you know what, I'm going for the gold, and I think that's a pretty smart play. He might end up still expanding. Yeah, he is still going to expand here first, but it is very nice that he breaks these rocks down because he has a free moment, and that's the thing, as the game progresses, you never know when you're going to have a free moment to clear out rocks and things like that, because you can't, if you're in the middle of a battle, you, especially as Terran when you're using siege tanks, and you kind of have to leapfrog those siege tanks forward, you really can't take the time, and you can't spare any of your troops. You need your frontline troops to guard those siege tanks so that the enemy's troops can't get up to them, and you need to keep all your siege tanks, because you need to, obviously if you're going up against siege tanks as well, you need to try to have more than them, so every last siege tank does count. And so by clearing out these rocks well ahead of time, when he's ready to expand, he will be able to without having to worry about that. Meanwhile, we see DeLoAdEr is just kind of holding up here. Both players kind of content to just hold the front of their natural and making sure that their natural expansions get saturated. And so we see both natural expansions getting saturated about the same time. I think ColmA was a teeny bit ahead on that, but we see that, I mean, the supply is about the same, is exactly the same now for both players. And I mean, if we look at the units tab, which we have been looking at all along, I mean, we see very similar things, and although where we change here is we have 3 Vikings instead of 1 Viking, and 15 Marines compared to 24. So basically, will the extra Vikings be better than the fewer Marines? Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I think that having more Vikings in the sky is actually a much better position, and I'm going to be favoring DeLoAdEr for having extra Vikings in the sky, because basically, as some of you may or may not know, when the siege tanks are in siege mode, they have a range of 12. However, they can only see about 10 spaces away. So basically, they can shoot to here, but they can only see to here. So if you get the extra vision by moving forward some air units, you can see further, thereby increasing the natural range of your siege tanks. So basically what that is in a TVT, if you control the skies versus somebody else with siege tanks, your siege tanks will actually have increased range compared to theirs, as they will not be able to shoot into the fog of war, which basically means that your siege tanks are far more powerful, and you will be able to move onto another encroached Terran position to be able to deal with that. And meanwhile, we see here, look at this, a point defense drone going down, beautiful play from ColmA, but the point defense drone for DeLoAdEr as well. And as we mentioned, look at this, taking control of the skies as he is able to snipe both the air units for ColmA, both his Raven and his only Viking, and his only air unit left now is this medevac, and the only thing he can spot with. And we did see that ColmA was forced to waste a scan in order to be able to see these siege tanks, because basically if the siege tanks can move up to that sweet spot, as I would call it, if they can move up to that sweet spot right outside of the range of the siege tanks, which again is, oh, range of 13, excuse me, I was incorrect with that, range of 12. So they have a range of 13, and basically, I mean, it's only because they're at the Zelnaga Watchtower that they can see, but normally they wouldn't be able to see all the way to their range. And by throwing down that scan, he was able to push back DeLoAdEr's troops, but forcing the scan and